to our June update on where things are in the reclassification efforts uh, against the national level, at the national level, and at the state level. Um, you know, uh, there's been some debate back and forth as to whether or not our map is 100.
Yeah.
Maybe we're taking a liberal interpretation of what should
Couple of
qualify
mills.
as green, or maybe it should turn to yellow. This certain state that I have in mind. Maybe we should change it to yellow as a post-traumatic stress injury state.
I'm
um,
afraid some of them's going to turn black.
yeah, the gray may turn to black. The states that have done absolutely nothing yet. So we kid, but we're volunteers. I'm here in New Jersey on the East Coast. Rebekah is Milwaukee. She represents the middle of the country, and we have Jim Brown here, the founder of our page, who I guess would qualify as covering the southern half of the country,
in the backwoods.
the backwoods of West Virginia. And
I wouldn't consider that backwoods, but maybe. I've never been to West Virginia, so I guess I can't really say.
So, but we all have our thing that we've done so far to help our states, and we're trying to keep track of what's going on across the country. And what we do is we really depend on our members to help us out so we do get it right. And maybe certain states should have a different shade of green, or maybe a different color applied to them. We're definitely not opposed to reviewing that, and we're definitely not insulted or angry in any way. Because we're just trying to do our best to keep everybody informed, and we do want to keep an accurate reflection of the current status. And again, I like to tease the gray states because you're still so gray, and gray is depressing. And I like to be happy, and that's why we like the yellow shades and the purple and the green. And Rebekah, you've done such a fine job with the map. Remind everyone what the purple color's for.
So the purple is for the states that are doing, right now they're focusing on the county level. And while they may be also working on the state level too, they have a few counties, or I should say at least one county in their state that has reclassified their dispatchers. The first one that I think we got notified on was Colorado. Started with 2 counties, and I think they're up to 5 or 6 counties, I think now there. And then obviously my state of Wisconsin is purple. We got one of our other members, Chad, he got his county, Dane County, which is Madison, 2 years ago now, in like June or July of 2020. And then I just got Milwaukee County as part of my service project for my RPL class, because we kind of stalled on the state level. So then I dropped back from the state level and just started focusing on my county. And I had a great county supervisor that was able to put this all together, and everything signed in, I think it was like 8 weeks.
Awesome.
And it went very fast, and our county executive just signed it on, I believe it was June 2nd. And so for Milwaukee County, we are reclassified, and I'm gonna our state legislature is not in session until some more counties, and hopefully we can hit the ball running come next legislative session on the state side. Got a couple of good leads for the state legislatures.
Awesome. So I think I actually So I think I actually owe Jim here an apology because, way back, I think it was like 2019, 2020, when we first met, I was all about the national level and we got to get the, 911 Saves Act passed. And, he kind of mentioned that it might get stuck in Congress and it might never go nowhere, or, might be a harder thing to do to get the national bill passed. So let's focus on going county by county, state by state. And well, sir,
Right.
it seems as though you might have been that you might have been onto something there because a year ago, a year and 1 week ago, I went out to Alabama and we talked about the 911 Saves Act. We talked about reclassification at the state level. And Alabama started with the Winston County, which is where Haleyville is located. And the Winston County Board of, whatever their county government declared them as first responders. And then Baldwin County was next, and then Cecil County, and perhaps a couple others. And then they just passed the state law. So it seems to me that, Jim, you are right, sir. I recommend those who are listening right now, if your state doesn't have anything going on, start at your county, approach your county government, look for a county proclamation, encourage other members, other 911 professionals from your state to seek their county government's approval for a proclamation at the county level. And then once, just like Jim Brown here did, once you have a decent amount of those collected, find a state legislator willing to take up a state bill. Jim, what do you think? I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, I reached out to a couple states. For example, I contacted a lady in Arizona. I asked in public, any members in the group and they would say, well, we don't want to be left. You reaching out to me and thinking of us, never heard another word. And I sent her a message the other day and I've never received a reply.
Well, sometimes that happens. People get busy, but the idea is to start at the county level, gather up as many county proclamations as you can, and then find a state legislator who's willing to propose a bill in the state house. And we'll circle back around to the national level, because when OMB decides that it's time to start the review process, which I believe should start in 2024, we'll have, as many states as we possibly can between now and 2024 with actual laws in the books that have passed since 2019, since Texas was the first one to do it. How many more states will we have that then OMB will have to look at that and take that into consideration during the review process. So
exactly,
so as much as I still want to encourage everyone to reach out and call, not email, call your local representative, and you don't have to do what I did. You don't have to travel all the way down to Washington, D.C. Mind you, it's only 4 hours drive for me, or a 2-hour train ride. You can meet your state representative, your congressman, or your member of Congress at their local office. Reach out to their schedulers. You can find their email addresses through congress.gov. Find your representative, send them an email. They'll get you a hold of, they will share their scheduler's email with you. And then you can schedule a time where you can sit in their local office with a staff member or the member of Congress themselves. That depends on their schedule and maybe how well you write your email, to have some face-to-face,
Right.
room time with the staffer or with the member of Congress themselves, and then share your desire to see the 9/11 Saves Act bill passed, and ask them, very respectfully, ask them to consider co-sponsoring the bill. And we're at 116 right now. We did a nice jump of about like 15 members of Congress that added their names after the Nina 9/11 Goes to Washington conference. And then it's kind of stalled out again. So again, we need people to call, or make appointments to have face-to-face meetings at your local office. Or, if you have the means, make an appointment, schedule an appointment, get on a plane, hop on a train, and go to Washington, D.C. How bad do we want this? There were members from, I think, 48 states that made their way to Washington, D.C. back in March. So let's get this done. Let's keep this going. Let's start at the county level, go to your state, and then we'll tackle the federal. But again, we're multitaskers, so we can do a little bit of all of this all at the same time. And but times, as far as the state law or the federal law, this is the second session, or the second year of this session, the 117th Congress. So we're getting down to about 6 months out before we run out of time and have to start the process all over again. So let's get to work.
Ms. Torres has been working so hard in her groups and everything like that. She has put a lot of effort into it. And how many representatives and senators is needed for it to get on the floor? And
I think the number is 256, if I remember right.
Well, it's the chairman of the Education and Labor Committee said if he had 150 co-sponsors, he would give the bill a hearing. We're at 116. So again, we're not that far off. To circumvent, go around, ignore the committee process and go directly to the floor, that would take 290 co-sponsors. So
290. That's
so you're talking another 170 more, or so members of Congress that we have to convince to co-sponsor. But those are like the two ways of, unless everybody in the state of California wants to hammer Nancy Pelosi, she has the right to pretty much call whatever bill she wants to the floor. So if anybody from California wants to call and make the case to have her skip the whole committee process and not wait for 290 co-sponsors, be my guest.
Right. Exactly.
One thing that I have to say about the question with Illinois, if they are picking and choosing that only certain dispatchers are going to be recognized as first responders, hey folks, we're talking about law enforcement dispatchers. We're talking about dispatchers in groups that serve the public and this and that. They are first responders in my book. And if you leave some people out and only pick certain people and you want to go green, well, I want to ask the opinion of the other two board members, but folks, to me, that is discrimination, and they're not going to go green until everybody is recognized because of the hard work that they do.
Well, and we kind of saw that a little bit with Louisiana when we first saw the bill for there, and then we quickly found out that was only their state, like state patrol, highway patrol, whatever they call them, the state dispatchers down there. But we got, we reached out to some people that we knew in Louisiana, and they quickly did some research on it and got it, I guess, in the works again and stuff. And now here, just, I think that was what, maybe 3-4 months ago, that we realized that that it was only the state dispatchers, and now they're green because they went back to the
It's
people who drafted that bill and said, hey, there's more dispatchers than just what is employed on the state level. You know, we have people that are employed by our counties and our cities or parishes, what I think is what they refer to their city names down there. You know, and so they quickly got the bill corrected.
Yeah, Terrell from the New Orleans 911 Center did a lot of work on, and I'm sure there were many more individuals that got to work on that, and they passed a law in the state of Louisiana that says individual 911 districts may recognize their dispatchers as first responders. So we qualify that as turning the state green because prior to that bill being passed, and even before the recognizing state dispatchers as first responders, no one in the state of Louisiana was in dispatch was considered a first responder. Now, the first law said the state dispatchers are first responders. The second law says if the conditions are right, each individual 911 district has the state's permission to reclassify or recognize their dispatchers as first responders. So that opens the door, and it's a case-by-case basis because of how certain things in their state government works. So we have no control over that, and nor do the dispatchers down there. So I mean, every state is a little bit different when it comes to these bills, which is exactly why you got to do your homework and try to be as inclusive as possible for, PSAPs, primary PSAPs, secondary PSAP. You want to cover as many emergency communications officers as possible, whether that's working for medical flight dispatch, coordinating the state medical helicopter system, your paramedic dispatchers, your police and fire dispatchers, who don't necessarily answer 911 because the 911 center answers the 911s, but then the call gets transferred or the information is relayed to them, and then they do the actual dispatching of patrol. So you want to try to figure out how best to word the bill. And again, that's where you have to identify someone in the state legislature who understands the public safety community and the different the different aspects of each of how the law will affect the realities of dispatchers across the state. So Jim, you bring up a very good point about that being a concern. And again, it all goes back to doing your homework, finding a good ally at the county level, at the state level, in order to write these bills the appropriate way and get them through the state legislature. Because again, as much as you want to do certain things, you still have to be able to get it through the process. If the person you're working with says, well, I can't get, all of this through, but I can get it in that you're a first responder, then that's what you take, and then you can go back and revisit those other issues. And we've had many guests on from states that are now truly green states that have inclusive bills. But the sole intent of the bill was to declare dispatchers and recognize them as first responders. And so that's a huge stepping stone. That's the foundation that we go and try to reach out and tackle the other issues.
And I know, a lot of people, when we're talking about this, they're like, well, what does that mean for us? What is that going to change for us on benefits, retirement, pay, all that kind of stuff? That's get the reclassification first for first responder. That, by getting that title changed, whether you want to use first responder, you want to use protective services, get lumped into your group or within your state as first responders, protective services. Once you get that, then that opens up the door that you can come back and revisit those other things of pay and benefits and trying to get better retirement. And, like James was just saying, take it one step at a time. Don't ask for everything at one time, and don't get discouraged. I mean, with my service project, I sent letters to, I've got 18 county supervisor boards and only one jumped at it. Now they all co-sponsored it, very quickly, but only one is the one that actually drafted the bill. So, so there was 18 just in my county. And then, but I also sent letters to all of my state level, in regards to my service project. On something else, I did my federal level ones. But I sent letters to all my state senators and all my state representatives. And of that, only one senator for sure said they were interested in drafting a bill, but they wanted me to help try to find a co-sponsor from the other party so that they could tackle it from both angles. And I have a good lead on it now, but the other person has yet to commit. And, so hopefully here in the next couple months, we're going to hear that I've got someone from both parties, and so that we can hit the ground running when our state legislature gets up and running again in January, is what, and what ultimately helped me is I reached out to our firefighters union. Technically I'm a member of my fire department as a dispatcher. So I started reaching out to, my fire department's union and said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do for our, the dispatchers in Wisconsin. Can you give me some guidance as far as, which way to go? Do you have any, who have you guys worked with because they just passed the bill, I think about 2 years ago, for PTSD for firefighters and law enforcement. So I said, who did you guys work with? Do you think they would be willing to consider this? So see, reach out to your sheriff's unions, your law enforcement unions, see what kind of stuff they're working on. And, that's all part of your guys' research, and
That's
get
an
the names
point,
of who they know that are the public safety supporters. We got elections coming up here at least in November, if not, depending on if you do a narrowing down process like we do in Wisconsin. Pay attention to your unions. Who are they backing? Because if they're endorsing a certain candidate, then that candidate is obviously an emergency services supporter. So pay attention to those, and not just in your immediate county, but in your counties, nearby and stuff, for depending on how your congressional lines are drawn, and those are the ones, whoever your law enforcement agencies, your fire departments, whoever they're putting their endorsement behind, that's who they've already had talks with these people, and they already know that these people are supportive of, the various emergency services. So that's where you need to, ideally start, and just don't get discouraged with it. And I know, if you're having trouble coming up with a letter, I'll be more than happy to share with you the letter that I wrote, or if you want to draft a letter, but you want someone to kind of look at it and, shoot me a message, and I'll drop you my email and you can send it to me. And, I'll let you know, if you need some help with it or whatever. In our file section, we do have a sample letter in there too. So, feel free to use that if you need something for a starting point. There's talking points in our file section if you need some talking points. I'm actually going to upload an updated version because I recently found a couple of more talking points. I'm just trying to finish, getting some things put together on it, and I'm going to upload a new version of it.
Awesome. I definitely want to just echo what you're saying. Our files section is open to everyone to take a look, get your ideas. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just simply modify to make the work that our fellow members have shared with all of us, to make it to fit what your needs. And you were making an excellent point earlier about your police and fire unions in your area to find out who they support, because like Rebekah is saying, they've already done their homework as to who the candidates they feel will best represent them. So, reach out and introduce yourself. Hey, you already have a relationship with the police and fire union, but we're dispatchers. Not all the things that you do for them will really trickle down to us, and we have some issues and concerns of our own. So I'd like to, start a rapport with you, and develop a relationship with you, so that we can discuss matters that are important to us. So excellent points. We're going to have a lot more of these, and we're looking forward to reaching out to others who have gone through the process. I would really like to hear from someone from New York, from Alabama, anyone who'd be willing to come on our Tell Your Story series and share what you learned during your process. We would truly appreciate it. And you can reach out to any one of us via DM or email.
Even if it's a state we've already talked to, we've got several videos out there from, various different states. If we've already talked to you guys, don't think, but say you weren't part of that previous discussion, or even if you were part of that previous discussion, if you guys have an update you want to share, say it's been, say someone from Texas, here we're coming up on 2 or 3 years, I think, since they, reclassified. Maybe you guys have made some additional progress. Maybe you've been able to change the benefits or change your retirement or something like that. Shoot James or I a message, and we'll work on getting it scheduled. And you guys can even give us an update of, hey, what has changed since you guys first got your reclassification? So anything you guys want to talk about. We're here, and as long as it's somewhat, focused on the reclassification project, that's what we try to keep focused on this page. There's several other dispatcher pages out there to, post other, miscellaneous things going on in dispatch and stuff. We really want to try to keep this page focused on the reclassification and those kinds of efforts.
Absolutely.
Reclassification is, I think, defined as coming up with a new classification rather than being clerical. And that's why I started the group, because every dispatcher, no matter if they're EMS, fire, police, or whatever, we're all one great big happy family. And this is the way that it needs to go about. We can't do anything about retirement. We can't do anything about benefits. Now, I admire the states that have already done some laws concerning PTSD. Well, see, that's another step forward. So we have 2 steps forward that we're looking at right now. But, nobody is going to be left out. And that wasn't my original intent when I organized the group to do anything like that.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing I want to mention real quick is California, for the APCO International Conference from August 7th to August 10th, the Anaheim Convention Center. So anyone who's out there is planning on going to that, reach out. Let's hook up. We can talk, trade stories. And, if anyone wants to reach out for a Team Reclassify shirt, because Rebekah came up with a great design and it was a real hit out in Neenah, Columbus last summer. And so I'd like to try to recreate that in the, during the week that we're in Anaheim. So, reach out for your opportunity to get a shirt for that. So maybe Monday or Tuesday, that'll be the day we all wear it, walk around the exhibit hall. Just keeping the idea of the reclassification fresh on everyone's minds. And yeah, don't think that the chiefs associations or the fire associations aren't going to be supportive. My chief has been very supportive. So don't just assume. The only way to find out is by writing to them or emailing them, or if you see them in the hallway, hey chief, you got a minute, and talking to them. We need as much support from our fellow first responders out in the field. We need the support of our the administrators, our counterparts that actually still patrol the streets, their unions. We need everybody. It's going to take the village to get each county, each state, and hopefully the whole country reclassified under state and federal law. And that's what we're here to do. And so please, whatever you have, that information that you would like to share with us, please do, because that's what this whole page is about, is an information depository, so to share and get and take and give back and forth to each other to help move the ball forward, even if it's just 1 yard at a time.
Yep, exactly. I mean, look at where we were at in 2019. When Norma Torres first brought the bill, that we had absolutely nothing. Maybe a few PTSD type bills out there. We had absolutely nothing, and it was quickly picked up. And Texas, was our very first state in September of I think that was 2019, maybe 2020. No, I think it was 2019.
I think it was signed into law in 19, but it went into effect in 2020 and so many more states have sent
and
joined
so Texas was our very first state, and so here we are a little more than 2 years, and we've got 17 states now that have reclassified, and a handful of states that are working at the county levels. So don't get discouraged. Just do what you can, and just keep working on it. And like I said, James and I are here. Jim is here. The other admins, we're here for you guys. If you guys have got questions, feel free to drop us a message.
Down to the 1 minute mark, so I think we'll wrap up our presentation here. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. We plan on doing more stuff. We're going to keep banging the drum until everyone's got the reclassification. And we really just want to encourage everyone to participate and share with us what you got. All right.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.